Good evening and welcome to Joy News Prime with me, Samuel Kojo Brace. Coming up in our headlines, this should be the last time a man in uniform is killed by a civilian he is tasked to protect. That's the defense minister defending the army as he vows the suspect or those who are involved in the murder of the young soldier Imor Sharif will be made to face the full rigors of the law.
And women in uniform, Ghana Armed Forces, Ghana Police, Immigration, all of them will die from the hands of people they seek to protect. The state will not sit alone and allow that to happen.
Also, Deputy Minority Leader in Parliament tears into government's Gold for All policy, describing it as one not being responsible for the recent declines in fuel prices.
Is saying that petrol prices have gone down because of Gold for Oil. Crude prices were over $100 and they cut down to $72 per barrel globally. It has nothing to do with Gold for Oil.
We have details as he says the policy will stifle private participation in the oil marketing space and will create debt in the long run. Also coming up in this bulletin, Ashanti Regional Security Council shuts the KJTL market for 3 days to allow for a thorough investigation into the fire incident that destroyed 35 shops. Meanwhile, the fire service has been explaining why they failed to renew the fire certificate for the market complex. Let this be the last time a member of any of Ghana's security agencies will be killed by the civilians he is sworn to protect. That's the warning from Ghana's defense minister as he leads the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament on a fact-finding mission in Ashaiman to investigate the killing of a trooper and also the subsequent brutality meted out to residents. The committee's first point of call was the residence of the deceased soldier, where the defense minister said that killers will be made to face the full rigors of the law.
All the military high command that gave the unlawful order should be dismissed immediately.
Some victims of the Ashaiman military brutality seated at the Church of Pentecost official town assembly. Some of them with their heads bandaged, bruises still visible on some of them. Women were not spared. A resident, Rosina Eji, tells me she was brutalized by a female soldier.
We're in the company bus and then they said, drop down. Everybody should come down.
Was it marked? Did you have the name of the company embossed on the bus?
B5 Plus. Still.
So they saw that on the bus?
They saw it. They knew it was a company bus. We are workers. They knew. So when people are saying they say they don't brutalize any lady. They are liars. If I have to even remove all my dress for you to see, you can't watch my nakedness. I'll show it to you. Everybody should lie down. We lied down. We did what they said we should do. And they started beating us.
Days after the brutality, lawyer for the victims and spokesperson for Ashaiman Lives Matter, Yibano Kumade, is alleging a death as a result of the military invasion.
The late Alhaji Mohammed Musa is one of the victims of the military brutalization on 7th March 2023 within Ashama. He was sitting at the frontage of his house, and when they saw the soldiers shouted, so they started running. It was among one of the people who were running, and he ran to enter his house. When he ran and entered the house, he fell. It's already a high pressure, hypertension pressure person, so his pressure shot up, and he was admitted at the hospital. We were just informed that 3 days ago he couldn't survive.
A doctor at Official Town Community Hospital who treated many of the victims said some of them experienced severe bleeding. He says a post-mortem on the cause of death will be done to confirm the reported death.
Some of them, one of them got a laceration, a female, about 2 or 3 of them got a laceration on the abdomen. Yes. They were serious. They were bleeding. One of them, they were bleeding severely. In fact, the first person who came around 4:30, he was bleeding heavily. So I started suturing I was suturing him when the second person came. So they started coming. So I finished suturing around 10 a.m. in the morning. Yes. Yesterday, around this time, I was reliably informed that one of them passed away. And I told the conveners that was following up to the referral point to find out the cause of death, if postmortem has been taken, and the postmortem report, so that we can get the actual cause linked to the death.
Lawyer and convener for Ashaiman Lives Matter, Emmanuel Kumade, wants the military high command dismissed.
Some cannot walk to this place because they were severely assaulted that they cannot walk. Some cannot have erection. Enough of the brutalization by the military. Enough is enough. You have had enough. And citizens of a country should not be subjected to this type of brutalities. Adequate compensation for the victims. 3, all the military high command that gave the unlawful order should be dismissed immediately.
Chairman of the Defense and Interior Committee, Kennedy Japon, says the committee will study the evidence presented to them and make recommendations.
And you hear the way people speculate about Ashama, you think they are bad or evil people. But I can tell you, all my investments, the security guys are all from Ashama, including my house that I live. I know you are trustworthy people. That is why I've given you this kind of jobs. So I know you. But what I know also as a Ashama citizen is that sometimes we cover people. We know the people or we know the perpetrators and we all keep quiet. If we do that, innocent people, like what has happened to you last week, will happen. So I'm pleading that next time we don't shield anybody. And as committee that I'm chairman, we'll go through the documents that have been presented to us. We'll come out with the recommendations. The onus is not on us to emphatically say that you should be compensated. But when we go through the documents, we'll make our recommendations.
Defense Minister Dominic Nitu says this should be the last time any member of the security agencies will be killed by civilians they have sworn to defend.
And our appeal to the young people of Achaman that you share boundaries with 1BN. Live in peace with the men and women of the armed forces and the police service. And I hope that our law courts will not say that justice is delayed. Justice grinds slowly, but it will surely come. But in this case, we want justice to grind very fast. Time that men and women in uniform will be killed, I didn't use the word that will be killed by the people they seem to want to protect.
In other stories, the KJT market is being closed for 3 working days to allow a comprehensive investigation into the cause of an inferno that swept through part of the market. Now, about 33 shops and items worth millions of Ghana cedis were destroyed by Wednesday's fire. Ashanti Regional Minister Simon Osei-Mensah believes there's a need to establish reasons for the failure of some installed firefighting systems that failed at the market. And Nana Ajima went back to the market and has come through with this report.
It is alleged the fire started from a shop at a section of the market where combustible materials are sold. It took over 3 hours for the fire service to completely douse the flame after unsuccessful efforts by traders to stop the spread of the fire. Ashanti Regional Minister Simon Osei-Mensah, together with some members of the Regional Security Council, visited the market on Thursday.
But from my own point of view, I think a committee will be very necessary at this point, in the sense that we have to know certain things. certain things must be clarified. Why? One, why is it that the sprinkler did not switch on when the fire started? Because the moment the fire starts, the sprinkler should turn on automatically. Why didn't it happen that way? But people had to go and switch it on. Two, why is it that the smoke detectors were not working? And if they did work, were they working effectively? Because at least the alarms should have been blown and then people could have escaped before things got out of hand. Then have they renewed their insurance this year? Because if they've not renewed, then it means that who is going to fund the losses? So we have to know whether the insurance has been renewed. We have to know whether the fire permit has been renewed. Because if the insurance, for instance, has not been renewed, who is going to bear the cost? Are we going again to the government when we are all witnessing the economic difficulties in which we find ourselves? Are we going to the government to provide money?
Mr. Osei Mensah is also worried about the composition of the board for the market.
Look, the composition of the board. Minister of Finance is a member. Local government is a member. We are here. Why is it that we are not members?
According to the Ghana National Fire Service, the KJTR market failed to rectify some anomalies identified in the fire control mechanisms in the market. Fire Commander ACFO1 Henry Giwa says several written complaints for the market's management to fix the problems were not heeded.
We've written to them severally that these things need to be amended, these things need to be rectified before anything happens. Because most of the time we have to be proactive, and that's exactly what we try doing. Somebody will also ask, when they didn't do it, what did you do? At times you need to manage some of these things because it's not that easy that you come and close down the KTR shop.
For this reason, the fire department refused to renew the fire certificate for the market after its expiration in 2021. The service has since commenced investigations into the cause of the fire. President for the Federation of Kumasi Traders, Nana Kwesi Prempe, is worried about insurance for the market.
And we know that you can only do insurance when you have the fire certificate. So since the Ghana National Fire Service made us to know that there haven't been any renewal of the fire certificate based on one or two recommendations that they've made to the management, and the management have not done it, we can also juxtapose it that since the fire certificate has not been renewed, invariably the insurance has not been renewed.
The sprinklers in here have been activated to help completely douse the flame. At 12 noon, the market was opened for the traders to come in, help salvage some of their wares within the market. Others who were not affected are supposed to completely lock their shops and also secure other wares until Monday, when the market will be fully opened for operations. The information that we have so far is that in the next 3 days, the fire service and other agencies will come in, assess the damage, and also investigate what actually caused the fire.
I have lost everything inside my shop. I sell sponge and polythene bags. I had some money. I could only find 500 cedis of an amount inside the shop after the outbreak.
But 500 penny 500 cedis.
Some recalcitrant traders took advantage to sell, though it was not allowed. The KJTR market, which was redeveloped in 2017, is the biggest trading center in the Ashanti region with about 10,000 stores. The first phase of the project cost the government $298 million. For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
Now, the Deputy Minority Leader in Parliament, Emmanuel Ama Kofi Boa, says the recent decline in price of petroleum product is as a result of the decline in prices on the world market and not as a result of government's good for oil policy. Now, price of petroleum products have witnessed a sustained decline over the past weeks, with government functionaries claiming it may be as a result of government's good for oil policy. But reacting to the State of the Nation address in Parliament, the former Minister for Energy and Petroleum says it cannot be as a result of the policy, but due to the decline in the world market price. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kojo Asante has more.
Debating the State of the Nation address in Parliament, the former petroleum minister accused government of seeking to misinform the public on the impact of the gold for oil deal.
The Vice President is saying that petrol prices have gone down because of gold for oil. Excuse my language. There is a Vice President and he wants to be president. I'm going to be very charitable. Crude prices were over $100 and they've come down to $72 per barrel globally. Check it. It has nothing to do with Baumia. It has nothing to do with gold for oil.
Emmanuel Amakufibua has also been criticizing the gold for oil policy, arguing it will worsen Ghana's debt position.
In fact, Mr. Speaker, what we must be careful is this, and people should listen to what is happening. This is a scheme that if we are not careful, we are going to really create a huge debt.
But Deputy Majority Whip Lydia Seyram Al-Hassan described the claims of the Deputy Minority Leader as falsehoods.
It's my member who has been a former Minister of Energy trying to tell us in the House that this government or any government cannot think outside the box to bring innovation that will help us.
Deputy Minister for Energy Andrew Japamesa has also been refuting the assertions of Amakufibua.
That gold for oil policy is rather what has come in to help address the rampant increases in the foreign exchange so that the Ghanaian consumer can have the benefit of the pricing or low commodity prices at the pumps. I think
the gold for oil deal has reared its head in the debate on the State of the Nation address here in Parliament. The minority have been consistent in speaking about how they think that it will lead to Ghana's debt portfolio worsening at its current stage, whilst the majority say that this is the reason why fuel prices is coming down currently. There have been concerns on the minority side, and they've expressed it by saying that the current decline in fuel prices has nothing to do with the gold for oil deal. It has to do with a slump in international prices, and they want government to cut out what they call propaganda. The State of the Nation address debate will continue until leadership on both sides concludes it for the House to move on to other urgent business currently before it. Reporting for Joy News, Kojo Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
Still staying in Parliament, the chairman of the Education Committee of the House, Kwabena Amankwa Esiama, has broken ranks with the MPP government, throwing his weight behind calls to uncap GET Fund. Now, the funds raised from the GET Fund levy is not fully invested in the education sector, with government releasing only a fraction. We'll hear from him shortly, but listen to the president of NUCS, Dennis Apialabi, presenting a petition to Parliament demanding that the fund is uncapped.
Our concerns primarily stems out of the declining funding for education, which emanates from GET Fund. In 2017, this House enacted Act 947, which has become more of an enemy to the progress of students. And we won't mince words with this. Act 947, especially for the GET Fund part, is an enemy for the progress of education in Ghana. In 2019, a total of 1.8 billion Ghana cedis was to be accrued to GET Fund. Out of that, only 66% was allocated to GET Fund, representing 1.2 billion. In 2020, out of a 2 billion accrual, only 1.2 billion was allocated, representing like 60%. In 2021, out of 2.3 billion accruals, only 1.4 billion was allocated, again another 60%. In 2020, 81% out of 3.2 was allocated. Initially, we had smiled, hoping that 81 is an improvement on it, but now it was reviewed to 56% in that same year. That was 2022. In 2023, then our biggest problem reared its ugly head. Now we realize that it is no longer a boardroom discussion again. It is a matter of a deliberate attempt to deprive the students of this country the requisite funding that is needed to run an educational sector. Out of 4.6 billion that is supposed to be accrued to Get Fund, only 1.8 billion, representing 39%. The students of this country query in shock. Today we are here with just two requests: reject the Get Fund formula and quickly initiate steps that would uncap Get Fund.
Now receiving the petition in Parliament, Chairman of the Education Committee, Kwabena Amankwai Siama, and his ranking Peter Nochu Kojo, who have both introduced a private members bill to uncap the fund, criticized government over the situation and promised to do more about it.
Get Fund is the only dedicated fund that has been earmarked for the development of education in our country. Capping it to the extent of giving it about 17.5% in recent act, I think it's not the right thing. Education is expensive, very, very expensive. But if you try vices and ignorance of the youth, in later years it will cost you harmfully and more than if you had used the money to educate your youth. We will do everything possible within our means to make sure that Get Fund and earmarked fund like Get Fund is used for the education of our country and the youth of our future. We have to give you a vista of hope and inspiration.
I can inform you that Chairman and the committee, we have already taken the step. On the 29th of November last year, we presented a bill which we call a private members bill to decap Get Fund. It is now before the finance committee. We are putting pressure on them to look at it and make recommendations to the House. I am sure your presence here will give indication to the finance committee that we need to do something about it as quickly as possible. And when that is done, be assured that this committee will be there for you as we've been all times.
Now, the executive director of the Africa Education Watch, Kofi Asare, says this is an urgent matter that must be dealt with before Parliament breaks for Easter.
Every fund has its own purpose. Okay, so education funds are for education. There are other earmarked funds for health, local government, and all the other sectors. So just keep education funds sacrosanct. It's as simple as that. The intention behind Get Fund is to support education development. Let's respect that. If we need other funds for other sectors, we can look at either creating new funds or within the public financial management system, we have various funds for other sectors. Let's respect the fact that education funds are meant for education. It's as simple as that.
How urgent should such a decision be taken by Parliament? How urgent is it for the sustenance of education?
I mean, we hope that by Monday, the Select Committee should take a decision, because next week, one of the issues to be considered at the committee level is the Get Fund formula, which we are asking the committee to reject it. Plenary should also reject it. And so it's as immediate as, next week. Before Parliament will rise, they will consider Get Fund, and we are encouraging that they should reject the formula and insist that Get Fund is uncapped before they approve the formula. That condition is very, very important. Other than that, we will not be seeing a good story in our schools. Anytime you go to the schools and you see that there are schools under trees, children learning on the floor, and everything you see related to resource deficit, bear in mind that less than 20% of Get Fund accruals is likely to hit the account this year, because the finance minister came to Parliament again on December 21 last year and brought a second capping law, which has now reduced the percentage of the Get Fund that is going to be available from 25 to only 17. People don't know about that. That bill was passed at the dawn of 21st December. And so there's a double capping now of not only Get Fund but other earmarked funds. But we are focused on Get Fund because that is education cash, and we want to see it uncapped.
Now, Deputy Majority Leader in Parliament, Alexander Afenyo-Omakin, has called on his colleague MPs to stand up against what he describes as executive manipulation by demanding a review of the 1992 Constitution to prevent the president from appointing ministers from Parliament. Now, Article 78 of the Constitution places an obligation on the president to appoint more than 50% of ministers from Parliament in the formation of any government. But Alexander Afenyomakin believes the provision is responsible for the perceived weaknesses in Parliament and must be addressed. He was speaking or addressing the Jimpa law.
I hold a view, in all humility, that this provision that requires a majority of ministers of state shall be appointed from among members of Parliament should be looked at the second time. This provision, among other things, unnecessarily encourages executive intrusion into Parliament. It makes it almost impossible for MPs who become ministers to criticize policies and actions of government in which they serve as ministers. Also, it encourages non-minister MPs from critiquing the government of the day out of the fear that they might be overlooked during the subsequent nomination of ministers of state if they dare to be critical of the government of the day. I took a position from day one that I want to be in Parliament and do parliamentary business. So I recall that 2017, when many colleagues were all over lobbying, they asked me, Afenyo, are you not interested? I said, no, I don't want to be a minister. Neither do I want to be a deputy minister. I want to remain in Parliament, chair a committee or vice chair a committee or be in leadership. And I maintain that. I remember when we got the opportunity again in 2020, we came into 2021, the region had a problem with me. I didn't cry on one person who minister. I said, no, I want to remain in Parliament. So eventually we settled on the position I occupy today. Because I believe that I need to build capacity. That the work of an MP is not about combining ministerial job and again saying that you're a member of Parliament. You can't do it all. And I hold a view that if we critically look at this, it will help MPs to assert themselves. A member of Parliament should assert himself. You should have what it takes to demonstrate that you are indeed representing the people.
Now, Alexander Afenyomakin also called for the immediate amendment of the 1992 Constitution to put a cap on the number of seats in the House. The Efutu legislator says the financial challenge the country is going through does not support the creation or the expansion of the number of seats in the House.
One critical thing to look at is also Article 93, to put an upper limit on the number of MPs that we must elect each year. It is unpalatable that a small country like Ghana, with its many financial problems, has 275 MPs. In contrast with all its financial muscle, Australia has 151 MPs and 76 senators. We need a change in the law to stop unnecessary expansion in the number of seats in our parliament. By doing that, we would impose restrictions that help, amongst other things, in easing pressure on the public purse. Because we've heard of a proposal to amend this entrenched provision called Article 71, which will require a referendum. I believe that our colleagues on the other side are saying that there's a need to amend this because it's really a toll on public purse. And if we are many politicians getting ex gratia and all those entitlements. But suffice to say that Article 71 is not only limited to the political class. The judiciary is also a beneficiary. Other institutions of states who are, by the Constitution, give them that dispensation are also part of it. So I believe that our colleagues may have to have a second look. It appears to me that they are looking at only the political class. But be that as it may, we still need to look at the number of seats we have in Parliament. If we give the opportunity to the Electoral Commission, I'm sure that they will look at our population and again say that they're going to create about 30 more. In my view, they are not healthy.
Just watching Joy News Prime here on the Joy News channel and also on the Joy Prime channel. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more. Stay with us. Welcome back from the break. Now, as humans, we tend to be forgetful sometimes, leading to us leaving our appliances on the extension board. This can lead to a fire outbreak, leading to the loss of properties. What if you could control your remote board remotely, wherever you are, no need to be physically present? This is what some 3 students of the Kwame Nkrumah Computer Engineering Department have been able to come up with. Now, on this week's Tech Thursday, Love FM's Kwesi Deborah has been interacting with the brains behind this innovation and has come through with this.
The extension board is controlled by the internet, so they've developed an app for this purpose. This board has a current sensor to know how much users are consuming at a point in time.
Okay, so this is an IoT device, an IoT extension board. It is basically supposed to give a user or a consumer the ability to control his or her extension boards remotely. Most of the time, as people, we leave our houses and sometimes we forget that we left sockets on, we left devices connected to sockets not turned off. So you can't come back and then come and turn it off. Maybe you may be busy at work or something. So having a device such as this will give you the opportunity to turn it off remotely via an app that we have as a counterpart to the device. So how it works is it uses 4 relay modules to control each of the sockets. We have linked one of the relay modules to the bulb so that when we turn it on, users can see that yes, it's really working. Okay, and then it also has a current sensor. Now the current sensor feeds information to the app so that the user can know how much power or how much energy they are consuming at every point in time. So those are basically the components that make up and then also a fuse to protect it from surges and overcurrents.
So we have the SmartX, we have a manual override, and we have a mobile app. So the manual override is when you are close to your extension board and you don't have your phone around and you just want to use it as an ordinary extension board. So that you can have, we have these switches to control the turn on and off of the various components of the extension board. So you can see as I turn them on, the various components goes off, and as I turn them on, they go on as well. But if you are far away and you want to control your extension board, if you forgot to do something with your extension board, you can actually turn them off and on.
Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Deborah.
Now, there are 32 forts and castles dotted along the coast of Ghana which were used for the slave trade. Now, all the forts share similar stories, but all of them are unique. Now, today we focus on Fort Fredericksburg, located in Princess Town in the Ahanta West municipality of the Western region. Now, do you know that a local merchant called John Coney or John Canoe captured this fort? John Canoe is celebrated in the Caribbean for his bravery even till today. In today's edition of Joy of Ghana Man series, Kojo Yankson sits with the Western Regional Director of the Museum and Monument Board, Kwesi Asel Blankson, for some good history lessons.
Mr. Blankson.
Yes, my good friend. How are you doing?
Where have you brought us?
I can hardly believe we are still in Ghana.
Yes, we are.
This is beautiful.
Yeah.
Fort Fredericksburg.
Fredericksburg.
Tell us the history of this place.
Well, Fredericksburg was it's a German fort built by the Brandenburgers. So in around 1680, the German, they used to call them the Brandenburgers. They formed a company and decided to compete in Africa, particularly against Dutch and English. And so they targeted areas where the English and the Dutch were strong or relatively strong, and then pushed their territories there. And so in 1630, they sent an emissary to the king of, they call it Pekusu, who was the king of the area, to seek property for this. And they traded in it for about 33 years and eventually sold it to the Dutch. Now, when they were here, trade was very good. They recruited a local merchant, they call him John Coney, to be their ambassador or their factor, as they call it. So he established links with Asen, Wassa, Ashanti to direct traders to this fort. So it was very, very lucrative. When they tried to sell the fort to the Dutch, the Brandenburgers did not inform John Coney, which infuriated him greatly. So he staged a coup and attacked the fort and captured it.
Wow.
Yes.
So locals, Ghanaians.
Yeah, John Coney captured this fort,
Fredericksburg
fort, and traded with, just like Asamani in Christiansburg, traded with the Europeans here at cutthroat price. Then the Dutch realized, no, this guy is disturbing us. So they sent an army, a group, to come and take up the fort. The captain Van Hoven was the leader, and for 3 days they bombarded this fort from the ocean, and about 120 men landed on the coast to take over. That was when John Coney also opened fire. Bang, 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 bang. Killed most of them. It said that about 35 only survived out of the 120 people, men that landed here, and managed to swim back to their boats and then eventually left. And that victory of John Coney just reverberated throughout the Caribbean, especially among the Dutch colonies. And so it is celebrated every year. Yes, in what has become as the John Canoe Festival. You know, it's an international festival. You can Google it and look for it.
John Coney Festival.
John Coney. Now they call it John Canoe, C-A-N-O, like canoe.
Oh,
John
right.
Canoe. John Coney can also come up with it. So John Coney's Festival. It is celebrated in the Caribbean.
Why are the exploits of John Coney celebrated in other parts of the world but not here in Ghana?
Well, because probably we have not established that fact. We have not let people know. In fact, when we went to the chief, he said some Jamaicans were coming here early this month, remember? I'm sure this was linked to that because they see him as a hero. They see him as their hero, you know, the German,
so they must be shocked when they get here.
Yes.
And this place
is
so
quiet, dry and like this, you know, they'll be very shocked. So the Dutch eventually managed to oust John Coney out. But before that, John Coney just removed all the valuables of the facility and established a mansion for himself.
You know, it's beautiful. You've got the town behind us, we've got the sea right there, and it's like a postcard, so picture perfect.
Yeah.
And the sea looks clean.
Bluest ocean you can find in Ghana. Bluest of them all. Yes. Princess Town, where the sea is blue. And of course, the vegetation is unadulterated. You see?
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So the interesting thing about Fort Fredericksburg is that it's actually a guest house run by the Ghana Museum and Monuments Board. John Baptist Kwam is the one who looks after the place. So how many rooms altogether here?
We have 5 rooms up here.
So when was the last time you had a guest staying here?
Last month, 20th. That's
20th.
Yeah.
Right. So that's over 11, 12 days ago. In fact, more than that. Yeah, about 12 days ago.
Yes.
Altogether this year, how many guests have you had?
I would say maybe it will be more than 20, but only 8 people slept here.
I'm asking about those who slept. Only 8?
8.
The whole year?
Yeah.
And each one paid 20 cedis?
Yes, please.
So the whole year, you've made 160 Ghana cedis?
Because awareness is low and people are not knowing this place well. So that also contributes to those who are coming to be low. Yeah.
It is a perfect microcosm of everything Ghana has to offer by way of tourism. And it might just be the only tourist site that has a perfect road leading all the way up to it. And it's right here in this beautiful, unspoiled and accessible corner of the Western region. So the next time you want to see a little bit of everything Ghana has to offer, you won't need to travel from Accra to Paga to Aflao to Elubu. Just come here to Princess Town.
Maybe I complete for Kojo Jackson. Princess Town, Ahanta West Municipality, Western Region. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with Showbiz. Stay with us. All right, so welcome to the Showbiz segment of the news. And Becky Bex is here. She doesn't want me to say something, so I'll leave it to her. Hi, Becky. You're looking sweet, huh?
Thank you. I was hoping you would say that. But that wasn't what you said. You said I was looking terrible.
That was, I mean, off air. And
I know.
I was joking with you.
No, so why would you say it's terrible, then we come back on air, then you say that?
I changed and said you're looking
But people tell me, I know, this is, what sign is this? I didn't cry.
Yeah, but it didn't crash symbol, but it has to be a certain, you know, the...
Okay, say it, go ahead.
No, they've asked me not to.
Okay, he can't explain. But I have good news.
Why can't I explain? I mean, I can explain. I was just telling you what it is.
Okay.
But anyway, let's move on.
Whatever it is, we love it. And we have good news.
It is not whatever it is. It's a Dinkra symbol.
Okay. Can we have a close-up shot of the Dinkra symbol?
Yeah, take your phone. Yeah?
Thank you. But good news. Well, I'm laughing. I'm very excited because good news is that Kitty, he's been trending the whole of today, and the good news is that he doesn't have stroke. That's according to his manager or his management team. You will recall, Brace, that Kitty came out with a press release. He was set to go for a North American tour, and he postponed it because of health issues. So that was in February. Then we haven't heard from him in a while. So I think that fans got really worried. So people are asking questions. Where is Kitty? Then the trend today was pray for Kitty because there's an insinuation that he's down with stroke. And so we have some of the tweets, if we have it, David, some of the tweets from people tweeting about him having or going down with stroke.
Yeah. But why do people spread such news?
Well, I don't know. This is
you spend time to tweet about someone's illness. I mean,
this is Ghana. So Kitty isn't feeling well, and you people are saying it is stroke somehow. So it's like you people always want to wish bad things on people, just like what you're saying. Kitty is just sick, and well, that's Kitty right there. So good news is that. We have somebody from his management team, obviously Richie, who is the brain behind of Lynx Entertainment, has come out with this tweet. He says that Kitty hasn't had a stroke. Ignore the rumors and the clickbaits. So
why would you want to
for those of you asking,
to bait people to click on your it's wrong. I think we should, as a country or as a people, we should stop doing this.
Right.
When you hear someone is ill, cross-check your fact well.
Before.
And just don't be interested in tweeting. Probably you've not even seen him.
Right.
But you've heard someone say it, or you've heard someone post somewhere, and so
Right.
you're also tweeting that he is ill. I mean, no.
So we're very excited about that news. We are all excited about the fact that, but we wish Kitty all the best.
Exactly. Wish him well.
Wish him well.
He may be down with malaria or something.
Yeah.
We wish him well.
Wish him well.
Yeah.
Let's move away from Kitty and talk about Burna Boy. Some exciting news because, well, for football lovers, Burna Boy has a message. So the dresses, you know.
So you have to be carried.
You carry them. Some weddings, I mean, some brides in Ghana, sometimes you haven't seen all the trends, those trends.
No,
the corset dress is like very tight and they can't breathe.
Simplicity, please. Keyword. Go for it.
Okay, great.
You need to be carried. No need for it. Anyway.
What is going on here?
Yeah, no, nothing's going on. I'm only giving you. Anyway, now remember to brush your teeth before you go to bed this evening and brush it tomorrow morning when you wake up. Now brush your teeth with either Pepsodent Cavity Fighter, Pepsodent Charcoal, Pepsodent Hairball, or Pepsodent Triple Protection. Yeah. Because with Pepsodent,
every smile counts.
That's what it is. You know, I love this smile. Yeah.
I know.
Anyway, there's more news on myjoyonline.com.
Please join us tomorrow, same time. We'll be here for all the credible news that you need to hear, obviously in the world of entertainment and also general news.
Empowering women.
We love you.